What's up? It's your boy Austin Rutherford back here again. Today we're talking business, finance, and real estate. Today we're talking about the 6 tips that you need to know when investing in real estate. The good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully things that'll keep you away from actually losing money when you're investing in real estate. So let's get right to it. But before we get there, make sure you hit that like button below. YouTube loves the algorithm. Smash that like button for me. While we're going through this, drop any comments, any questions that you have. And as always, hit that subscribe and notification bell so you can get all of our content going forward. All right, number 1, you can never fix a bad buy. You make your money when you buy. You realize it when you sell. The biggest mistake that I see people see is fudging numbers. So they get into a deal and they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna buy this for 50 grand. And then I'm gonna put $50,000 of rehab into it, and then I'm gonna sell it for $150,000 because they become emotionally attached to the deal and they make numbers look like it works, so the deal makes sense. Then they buy the deal and then they realize that they weren't realistic with those numbers. So in that deal where you buy it for $50,000 and then you go in and plan to put $50,000 into the rehab of it, but once you get into the deal, you realize that it's gonna cost more money than what you planned on spending. So let's say you spend $75,000 on the rehab. I know, it sounds like a lot of money to go over budget, but I've been there. I've done that from personal experience. You can blow budgets very, very badly because you didn't plan right on the front end, because you looked at something, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't need drywall. And then you get into it and the whole house needs the drywall redone. So you have to, on the front end, plan the budget accordingly. And then let's say on the back end, you're planning on selling this for $150,000. But once you get the whole project renovated, you're excited to list it and sell it and make some money. You realize that the comps that you were basing the house off of was in the neighborhood next to it. And your house backs up to a freeway. You know, again, you're emotionally tied to it at the beginning. You may overlook some things like that, but you get to the end of the project and you go to list it and you realize that it's only gonna sell for $125,000 instead of $150,000. Guess what? You just spent your entire, 3-6 months renovating this property and you're gonna lose money. You're gonna literally lose money. You're gonna have to pay somebody to buy the house from you. It's not a good feeling to be in. So you can never fix a bad buy. If you buy it wrong, you're done. It's game over. You will never make money from it. You can't move the house. You can't tweak the house. You can't pick it up and put it in a new neighborhood. You can't, make up budgets because you actually have to spend the money to renovate the property. You can't fix a bad buy. Tip number 2 is location, location, location. This is what everybody says about real estate. It's all about the location of the property. I've bought houses in areas where values have literally doubled in a matter of a couple years. So you buy it for 100 grand, 3 years later, it's worth 200 grand. That's a tremendous location to be in. You wish you would have bought every house on that street if the value skyrocketed like that. But on the flip side, I've also bought houses in areas where there's been zero appreciation. Even though inflation's going up, the house has not gained value at all. But a lot of times when people buy houses in those types of areas, they're buying them as rental properties and the cash flow is very, very high. So you're making the money on the cash flow in theory, as long as they're actually paying rent and they're not paying you, there's almost no appreciation. So it depends what your strategy is. If you want the appreciation, if you want the upside, you have to buy houses in good neighborhoods where there's good schools, where there's job growth, where there's, commercial activities, restaurants, all those things, because the only way that values go up is because a neighborhood or an area becomes more desirable, meaning more people are buying there, meaning they're willing to pay more for the same house. That's how it appreciates. Now, if you're in that low-end housing where people don't want to live there, it's all rentals, it's all tenant occupied, guess what? That's not going to appreciate. So it depends what your strategy is. For me, I want the long term. I want the appreciation. I want the gain in value. I want the equity play. So it all goes back to what your goals are. But me, I'm buying on location. I want to be in the right neighborhood that has potential for serious growth. Number 3, you have to have the long term in play. You have to have the future in mind. When I got started in real estate, I was always chasing that dollar. I was flipping houses. I was wholesaling houses and I was making a lot of money doing it, but I didn't have that long term vision. I wasn't playing for the future. I was playing for today. So in real estate and investing in general, you have to have the long-term goal in play so you invest the right way for the future. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting money now. Go out there, do your flips, do your wholesales, make your investments, make a lot of money, but you got to put it into appreciating assets, investments that make money, cash flowing investments. You have to have that future goal in mind, because that's where you're really going to have wealth. You can get rich today, but wealth is in the future. I've said this a lot of times. One of my biggest regrets is not keeping more rental properties. I flipped so many houses. I made a lot of money doing it, but I wish I would have kept some more because my cash flow today, my wealth in the future, my cash flow in the future would be a lot more. I'd have hundreds and hundreds of doors under my portfolio if I would have kept some of those properties. So when you're investing, make sure you think about the end goal, the long term, and make sure you keep some rental properties. Number 4, this kind of flows into the next one, but number 4, cash flow. Cash flow is what everything in real estate falls on. Because if you're thinking about the future and buying rental properties, guess what? They need the cash flow and make money every single day until the future. If it does not cash flow, you could be put in a very tough position. I see a lot of people buying rental properties where you make maybe $100 a month or maybe $200 a month. You get into a property where, let's say it's worth $150,000, your mortgage is $900 a month, so your payments out every single month is $900, your payments in is $1,000. So you're making $100 a month, which is cool in theory until things go wrong. So you make $1,200 a year. Now let's say that unit goes vacant for 1 month. You can't find a tenant, or let's say the tenant doesn't pay rent for 1 month. Guess what? That $1,200 in profit just turned into $200 in profit for the entire year. Now let's say that a furnace goes bad, you got to put a new motor in there. And let's say you have a clogged drain in the sink, that's another few $100s. That's a $700 in repairs. Guess what? That $200 profit now just turned into negative $500. So you're actually paying somebody to live in the house for you because you don't have enough cash flow. You have to make sure that it is enough cash flow to cover expenses. Now let's say, God forbid, a roof goes bad. That's $5,000. That's a $5,000 new roof. Now you're like way in the red, which is not where you want to be. So you got to make sure that it cash flows enough to be able to cover those expenses. So when we buy rentals, we look to make $400 per unit in cash flow per month. Now understand, there's going to be some vacancies, there's going to be some repairs, but that $400 ideally covers those expenses. You don't want to make it so tight where you're only making $100 and you don't actually make money. You got to make sure that the cash flow is there in case things go sideways. Number 5, you're an investor. Do not get emotionally tied to a property because you're going to lose money. I promise you, you will. I've been there, I've done that. I've walked through houses that I'm renting. Let's say it's a rental property and all the other units in the area have Formica countertops. And you're like, oh, but I like granite. I want to put granite in because I like granite. That's an additional $2,000 that you spent between Formica and granite into a rental property. Guess what? That's going to take you 1 to 2 years to get that money back based off the cash flow. So you just burnt 1 to 2 years of your life and of your rental income on an idea that you like granite countertops. You can't get emotionally tied to these things. If Formica is what the neighborhood does, put Formica in. If carpet is what, we don't do carpet, we do LVT because of a maintenance issue. But if white appliances is what the neighborhood has, put in white appliances. Don't do stainless, don't spend another $1,000. Renovate the house to the condition of the comparable properties and don't get emotionally tied to them and say, but I want this, or I like this, or I would want this if I live there. It's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. It's the end person. It's the tenant. It's the end buyer. If you're flipping a house, it's the end person. What are they looking for? And they're looking for what the area holds. So renovate your property to the condition of the other properties. Nothing more, nothing less. I've made decisions on investing. I've lost money on houses because I decided to get rid of it. I've lost money investing in stocks because I decided to get rid of it. I had a stock that was crashing one time and I was going to lose 1/3 of my investment, but I decided it because I looked at the data and I was like, nope, I got to get out of it. So I sold it. I lost 1/3 of my investment and a month later, the stock hit 0 and everybody lost everything. If I'd have been emotionally tied to it, like, oh no, I can't lose that money. This is my whole life savings, whatever it is, guess what? I would have hit rock bottom and literally lost everything. So you have to make rational decisions based on data, comparable houses in the area, and pull the trigger on that, not on our emotions. Our emotions will lead us astray a lot of times. And number 6, cash is king. You probably heard this one before. Cash is king. When you're negotiating with buyers, when you're negotiating with sellers, when you're negotiating with contractors, and you can prove that you can actually perform on what you're saying, you tend to get better prices. And when we're buying houses and we're going up against other buyers and we can say we'll close in 24 hours or 48 hours, and they're like, oh, I need 30 days to get financing, cash is king. We get the deal, and we get the deal for a lower price a lot of the times, which is even better. So you can get better pricing if you have liquidity and money available. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your money. Like, you don't need $1 million sitting in the bank account, but you need access to, let's say, a private money lender, which, by the way, there's a video linked in the description, to a private money lender that can lend you the money to buy a deal quickly And that's the same thing as cash. As long as you can get the deal done very, very quickly, that's what people care about. Time is of the money. Money is time. Time is money. You have to be able to move quickly. Cash is king, and that's how you're going to get better deals on your investments. In business, there's always ups and downs. There's days where you're going to be crushing it out of the park and winning. Then there's days where you may have made a bad decision. You may have lost some money. There's always ups and downs. You got to ride that. You can't get emotionally invested into anything investment-wise, because when you're emotionally tied to something is when you make bad decisions. You have to make rational decisions based on data, and then that's where you're going to get to where you go. So don't get emotionally tied to things. Don't make bad decisions. Don't blow all your money. Don't not think about the future. Do all these things, these tips that we just went over, and you'll be in a much better position, 6 months, 12 months, 24, 36, 48 months from now. So if this added any value to you, make sure you smash that like button below. YouTube loves the algorithm. Comment any questions below that you have as well. Or if this was great, just drop a fire emoji or something. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell so you can get all the content going forward. As always, appreciate you being here. We'll see you on the next one. Peace. What's up, everyone? It's Austin Rutherford here. And I just personally want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my YouTube channel, where we talk business, finance, real estate, and how to elevate your life. On this channel, you'll find everything from mindset to marketing to wholesaling to sales and negotiation to flipping houses to raising private money to rentals to Airbnbs. Everything you need to run your own business, you can find on this channel, so make sure you take a look at it. But if you're one of those people who want to work directly with me and build your own real estate company, make sure you check out thereblueprint.com. thereblueprint.com. What this is it's a training and a duplicate of my business. Every way in my business where we make money right now, you get everything. It's from wholesaling to marketing to raising private money to renovating houses to flipping houses to buying rental properties, and the mindset that allows you to do all those things. An in-depth look at everything inside of my business. And on top of that, you get all the documents that go along with it. You get all the scripts, you get all the templates, you get all the Excel spreadsheets, you get all the contracts, you get all the credibility packets. You get literally everything you need to run your own real estate company. And on top of all that, you get live coaching calls with me. So don't miss out on it. Make sure you check out thereblueprint.com. And again, if you have any suggestions on YouTube content, YouTube videos that you want to hear more about, make sure you drop a comment in the description below. If you have something, let me know so we can get that content out to you as quickly as possible. Again, as always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, everything. Hope to see you on the next video. Peace.